Lay's was very popular, but it was facing challenges in terms of there was a growth limitations that you sensed in time.
Western snacking is finger food. So you pick up something with your fingers from a bag, and that's what potato chip snacking was all about.
And then that led to the birth of Kurkure.
The gap that was there from a consumer point of view was it was missing the traditional Indian ways of snacking, which was through the palm. When you go through a tough phase together, you come out stronger.
Yes.
What doesn't kills you makes you stronger.
PepsiCo, as I remember, was in the cusp of making that decision whether to make, sell, and deliver in Bangladesh, and I think you were involved in it as well. So, tell me, how did you fight this crisis of duality?
I love this duality.
Kaushik Mitra, welcome to Mastermind.
Hey, thank you very much. Very happy to be here.
Kaushik, from visiting a Chinese restaurant on the Free School Street with your family and looking at the menu and not being able to afford it, to sitting here as the CFO of PepsiCo India, how has been the journey?
Yeah, I see it as two worlds almost, like two lives. And I still remember that incident in Free School Street. And it's a story of belief. It's a story of conviction. It's a story of resilience. It's also a story of learning the hard way, falling down and getting up again. And I think the other thing that's been a very, very important aspect of my story and my journey is my wife, and we've been married for 30 years, and I am what I am today a lot because of her and the contribution that she has made. We don't often speak of things like, we have a domestic help who has been with us for now 25 years. Our son is 25, and she has moved around from India, from Gurgaon to Chennai to Dubai to Vietnam to Hong Kong, and she has 3 passports stamped in 3 different parts of the world. And we are where we are today a lot because of her contribution. So as they say, it's the folks around you and the support systems that help you get to where you are. And I have also learned a lot from people, and good things and not so good things. And if I look at my life and go back, I have to do a lot of editing. Okay, edit out the bad stuff and keep the good stuff. So it's amazing to be here. It's amazing to also now put some of my experiences and learning in the book that I have written. And a lot of people ask me, how do you find time to hold down a demanding job and yet write a book? And to them my answer is, the question is, are you working to live? Are you living to work? And we are not living to work.
Yes.
We are working to live.
Yes.
Work is the means to an end. It's not the end in itself.
Yes.
And if you have a passion for something, then there is no excuse not to pursue that passion. And so that's in summary. I feel very grateful. I feel very fortunate that in a country of 1.3 billion people, I'm very, very privileged to be where I am.
I just did a cameo with the president and CFO of Hero Enterprises, Joginder Singh, and he said something that created a light bulb moment for me. He said, "Aap zindagi जी रहे हो या काट रहे हो?" So I can confidently say that you're living and not just passing it around. So, and I'll come back to what you said, that there are bad phases that you'd want to edit, and then there are good phases. But if we look at the great god of cricket, Sachin Tendulkar. His journey of being Sachin started after he accepted that he's not a 6 feet tall man. He accepted the flaws that he had in his personality, and only then started his journey of becoming the great. So why do you say that you'd want to edit? And what made you more of who you are today? Your failures or your successes?
I think both, and I think the greatest learnings come from failures. And the important thing is what happens in your head when you fall down. And I think today, this whole Indian system, the education system that we have, is so focused on brilliance. Imagine the folks who had topped the class in your school and your college, and you look for where they are. Maybe they are, some of them are doing very well in terms of how we define success, but maybe a lot of them aren't, right? Education and brilliance does not guarantee success. But one thing for sure in today's world that we live in, which guarantees your ability to give the best, is resilience. And therefore, in my experience, when I say editing, it's about learning.
Give me one story that you say you
So look,
think
I'll
you
tell
should
you,
be edited.
look, I'll give you a story on resilience, right? I mean, I got a call from my boss one day, and she said, "Hey, you know what? There's an opportunity in Vietnam. Would you go there? It's a great job, great role." And the first thing I said was, "Okay, let me see where it is on the map." I had vaguely heard of it, and the city was Ho Chi Minh City. So where is Ho Chi Minh City? I looked it up. Some called it Saigon, some called it Ho Chi Minh City. I found it on the map, and then I called my wife, and she said, "Are you crazy? I hope you said no." But lo and behold, after considering everything, I landed up in Ho Chi Minh City. And within the first week, I was sitting in office one day, and my head of IT, information technology, comes to me, a local Vietnamese person, and says, "You know what, boss, all the systems are down. There's a virus." I had never faced it in my personal life, right? And within 5 minutes, the CEO of the company, and it was a joint venture between PepsiCo and Suntory, and he came and said, "Hey, you're sitting on your chair, the systems are all down. When is it going to come up again?" And I felt like a victim. I felt, why is this happening to me? Oh God, this is like, I never bargained for this. In a new country without any support system, my family hasn't joined me. Why is this happening to me? And then I was like a deer frozen in the headlight in the middle of the road for almost a day. And then, I couldn't sleep that night. I thought of calling back home, but, since my son's exams were happening, I didn't want to trouble them. Something dawned in the early hours, in the twilight hours of the morning. I think the greatest clarity comes in the darkest of times. And then I landed up back in office and grabbed my coffee. And then I realized, I don't know whether you see the Die Hard movies. There's this concept called, you are the person if there's nobody else. And I realized that nothing is going to happen and nobody's going to do anything unless you do something.
Yeah.
And so I moved from the state of victim to karna kya hai? Kuch to karna padega. And then I dialed a few people around, and there are Indians who are heading companies in other companies in Vietnam, and they said, guess what? They're also in the same place. Then I felt a little better. Human behavior, Dale Carnegie's famous book, I'm okay, you're okay. My situation was I was not okay, but somebody else was also not okay. So that's far better than I am not okay and everybody else is okay, right?
Yeah.
So that gave me some courage of conviction for all the wrong reasons, but okay, we are human beings, right? And then I moved from that karna kya hai to, okay, maybe it's an opportunity now. I get my systems back faster than others, and then maybe, everybody is happy, right? So life throws you these curved balls always. Your brilliance is not going to help you. Something else is going to help you, right?
Okay.
And it's moments like these which you can fall back on in life when you face another situation. Now, the toughest ones are personal situations. How do you handle a situation where a loved one is going through a bad time or is going through a health issue, right? Those are the toughest ones in my mind. And I always remind myself, and whenever we have a very, very difficult situation at office, I keep reminding myself I'm not like those army generals who are sending, people to the battlefield knowing that some of them are not going to come back. I don't take those decisions, right? That gives me a lot of comfort. Right? So you need to find your strength and courage from moments like these and tough phases. Imagine, even in personal space, right? When you go through a tough phase together, you come out stronger.
Yes.
What doesn't kills you makes you stronger, right? The famous song, right?
Yes.
So, however, successes also have a role to play, right? Strengths also have a role to play, right? I've seen a lot of people try too many things, and there is today the kind of world that we live in compared to the past, where we had a paucity of everything. Start with knowledge, right? Today we have an abundance of everything, and options, choices, knowledge, strategies. Which one do you choose? So today it's about focus. It's also about playing to your strengths.
Yes.
It's about core competence. So it's a good balance between, resilience and playing to your strengths, which is the winning combination. And such an example that you gave, I think that's a great example.
And you also talked about you highlighted the insignificance of brilliance, and I have a story to share that I'll need your feedback on. In my 11th, back then, I was detained. I did not go through the second year. I failed for reasons well known to me. But then in my 12th, I secured 91%. Because after I repeated, I was the batch topper in 11th, and then in my 12th boards, I got 91%. Then I now looked at the colleges that I had available to me, and I realized that I still cannot get into the best colleges in India, because 91% is still not enough. The cutoffs are 96, 97. That's when I realized that that means all these students that go to the best colleges in India are intelligent folks. They're all brilliant minds. Now, who wins out of these folks? And what is the winning factor? And that's when I realized that since all of these people are equally intelligent, intelligence cannot play a crucial factor now. It has to be something else. And that's when I realized it has to be perseverance. It has to be soft skills. It has to be empathy. And that's when I started reading a lot of neuroscience. So what you're saying, that brilliance is not important. Even as CFOs, I was moderating a conference in Mumbai last month, and I said, all of you guys, you're intelligent folks. That's why you're the CFO. And everybody in the audience as well. They've already cracked their CAs, their 10 plus years of experience. So all of you guys are intelligent folks. What separates good CFOs from bad CFOs is not intelligence. It is something else. It is non-finance for finance. So do you agree to this fact?
100%. I think you hit the nail of the head. I think as a CFO, you are working with people. And can you imagine a situation in a company where anything gets done which doesn't have an monetary implication? Everything does. So you are pretty much in every meeting, every situation. You have a voice on the table, voice on the issue. But what separates average CFOs from really, really effective, great CFOs, I would say, are two things. One is CFOs who work well with people. And that's the conversation that we're having right now in terms of what you said from your neurosciences thing. Because unfortunately, it's the way that we have been educated in India, right? It's not the same as outside, right? Where maybe the education system is focusing on how do you develop curiosity? How do you make a mind like a child?
Yes.
That you're always and the Japanese call it soshing, which is the mind like a child.
Yes.
How do you create space in your head for differential knowledge? How do you shed baggage as you become senior and senior, and you stuff your brain with more baggage and more knowledge and more fixated views, and then you just cannot absorb anything else? We don't do that. We don't talk about adaptability. We don't talk about resilience, the example that I gave. We don't talk about how do I inspire others? How do I bring a smile to your face? Or when I'm addressing an audience, how do I engage the audience? Why on earth are they going to listen to me? How do I influence? So, in business, ultimately success is not individual success. It is about team success.
Yes.
And therefore, I always remind myself and finance folks that we have to take everybody along. And that needs things like building trust. That needs things like being able to influence with what I call ethos and pathos. There's the bit of logos in the middle, which is logic. Indians overdo it. But the magic happens in the pathos territory. I've seen people exchanging 100 emails back and forth like a tennis match. It's like you are in Roland Garros watching a tennis game, right? And you're so frustrated. Then somebody picks up the phone and speaks to somebody on the other side, and lo and behold, things get done. Things get done at the speed of trust. And that is human behavior. That's nothing to do with brilliance. That is nothing to do with knowledge.
Yes.
That's nothing that the artificial intelligence can do. Right? It's about two humans interacting and making things happen. So in business, it's all about karna kya hai and getting things done. Now you yourself, with all your brilliance, ain't going to make it. Right? So you got to work with people.
Yes.
And so those elements of working with people are so critical, and it's becoming more and more critical, because tomorrow it's going to be, you'll have your own bot. You bring your own intelligence.
Yes.
So
It's
there are these policies. Bring your own device. Tomorrow it'll be BYOI. Right? You bring your head, but you don't need to keep everything in your head.
Yes.
There is the bot that you have with you.
Yes.
Maybe in another 50 years you'll have a chip in your hand. So therefore, what are you then?
Yeah, you've mentioned something very interesting, that curiosity can be developed, and I'll tell you again something from my experience of. So my team hosts some of the largest gathering of CFOs in India, and every time I go to an event, a CFO event, I see two sets of people, two sets of CFOs. One, these are CFOs who instantly build rapport with everybody else. They get talking on random topics in a very natural way, and they're exchanging cards. They're everywhere inside the room. There's a separate group of CFOs who they struggle, and they keep looking at the prior set that, oh my goodness, these guys must know each other from a long time, but it's not the case. So what's your one advice to these CFOs who were struggling to, who were not curious enough to go out in the uncomfort area and get more connections?
Look, I think you have to make it interesting. And I think sometimes people miss the wood for the trees, in the sense that they focus so much about their knowledge and how much they know, and rattle off that knowledge. And it's back to our education system. Cram and vomit. This is not about cram and vomit. This is about a human interaction. How do I light up your eyes? How do I get a smile? How do I get a ripple in the room? Subject matter knowledge is not going to do that, because it's about feeling, right? So stories make a big difference.
Okay.
So whenever I get asked questions, I start with stories. Okay, so my answer lies in the story, and as soon as I hook it on a story, people are hooked. They want to understand what's happening in the story, right? And then you kind of tie up a lesson to the story, but the hook is the story itself. The other thing is, I think, and this is more the argumentative Indian, we talk a lot. We need to listen.
Yes.
And I've seen elsewhere, and this is a very, very important thing from a leadership point of view also, and from an inclusion point of view. You need to listen. And therefore, it's not that you need to do all the talking. You need to ask those questions. And maybe people have some very, very radical ideas, right? And give them the opportunity to come out with those ideas. So inclusion plays a very, very important role in how you engage the audience. Right? Humor. I've seen humor does wonders. And things like, and you do shairi, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you, I was in a very serious forum on corporate social responsibility, and I was on stage with a couple of other CFOs, and then somebody said something, and the first question to me was, okay, PepsiCo, and we know we remember Dil Mange More and things like that, and then he asked me a serious question. And while he was asking me that question, which was a long question, I thought, okay, I need a repartee to Dil Mange More. And then it was Corporate Social Responsibility Forum. So I started my answer saying, while you said Dil Mange More, but what is more relevant to what we are discussing today is Yehi Hai Right Choice, baby.
Wow.
Right. So, and then there was a ripple in the room, and then people were, So, how do you connect?
Yes.
That's not science, that's art. And you hone it over a period of time. The other thing that I believe is, particularly for finance folks and CFOs, people who are aspiring to be CFOs, is there is a fear of speaking. I don't think, again, our education system teaches us how to communicate well. And communication is so important in life. Similar to influence, similar to adaptability, similar to resilience. And I've seen the finance fraternity brilliant with numbers, brilliant on a computer, brilliant, because that's what our education hones. It doesn't hone communication.
Yes.
वो तो कुछ अलग ही बात है.
So
बात,
the,
literally.
so the lesson here that I can understand for leaders and CFOs as such is that they need to invest in the basics of human connections, communication, storytelling, trust building, and culture. And somebody told this to me, I cannot quote the name, that economics follows a pattern, but culture follows chaos. Culture will come from areas that you cannot readily identify, from people you do not have in your records, and from behaviors that you cannot always control. So CFOs, that is why I have a hard time in preparing for having a right culture, right team, and I think as leaders you are as good as your team. But I'll come back to and before I get to the product, you mentioned about Dil Mange More, so I'll want to get into the product side and AI side. But I was at a conference and a CFO was standing at a corner, not talking to anybody, and I went and approached this lady, and I said, "Mohabbat biki," and she looked at me surprised, almost as offended, and I said, "Mohabbat biki, dukaan kaisi chal rahi hai?" And she said, "What do you mean?" And I said, I've met with so many CFOs, and whenever I see somebody standing quiet, I think that your shop is not doing well. And she said, "What shop?" And I said, "CFO वो है जो मोहब्बत की दुकान लगाकर नफरत के बाजार में बैठा है." So something is off. That's why you're not talking to people. And that's when she started laughing, and then she opened up.
Yeah.
And then I could see a separate person altogether in the event. So I think something needs to be nudged that cracks open that glass ceiling that CFOs are not, they're afraid to speak and to represent the human that's inside them. So truly said. Now I'll come back to one of your products. And from your book, The Career Edge, you've mentioned the story of Kurkure, that Lay's was very popular, but it was facing challenges in terms of, there was a growth limitations that you sensed in time, and PepsiCo sensed in time. And then that led to the birth of Kurkure. So can you tell me more about what happened, how Kurkure was born in the story?
Yeah, I mean, that is a very interesting phase for us. And this goes back a long time. I'm talking several decades back. And typically the Western snacking is the Western snacking is finger food. So you pick up something with your fingers from a bag, and that's what potato chip snacking was all about. And the gap that was there from a consumer point of view was it was missing the traditional Indian ways of snacking, which was through the palm, and the flavors and the varieties that
The
we were
masala.
so the the masalas and the ingredients, etc., that we have grown up with, right? So I think that's where. So it was really a situation of how do we get the aspiration of Western snacking and combine that with the tradition of Indian snacking, and that is where Kurkure was born. So
Wow.
it was a product which straddled the clean finger snacking, but made of ingredients that we are familiar with: rice, corn, gram, flavors that light up the palate in our mouth. And lo and behold, I mean, the rest is history, right? So,
Yes.
moral of the story there is, I think innovation thrives in this place where, and the challenge is this or that. So today, let's say that the challenge is, how do I make the product healthy at the same time tasty? And therefore it is not either one of them, but it's the and. So if you look at it and step back, or is the biggest enemy of and.
Yes.
And therefore innovation really comes from, and innovations which take 4 out of 5 things fail when it comes to innovation. The one thing really works, like Kurkure, for example.
Yeah.
It's cracking that and that applies to everything that we do today, right? Because there are so many choices, and ultimately how do you get the sweet spot? On a different note, for example, this whole concept of work-life balance, right? Again, is it about work? Is it about life? How do you strike the balance? It's not an or situation. It is an and situation.
Yes.
And instead of thinking of it as a square with a line in the middle, think of it as a circle. You will have work moments in personal time, and you will have personal moments in work time. And if the perfect balance is when you can straddle that. And today, professionals and companies are also realizing that to get the best out of employees, it's got to be that and.
Yeah.
Don't create that or, don't create that compartment. But that's your Kurkure story, really. It's,
Yeah.
And again, I think there is a lot of orient out innovations that are there today. You can, if I'm sure you when you travel, you realize our food and our cuisine is very popular.
Yes.
I mean, in the UK, I think the tandoori chicken probably is the number
Yeah.
2 or 3 dish,
Yes.
right? Popular dish. So we have a lot to bring to the table as a country,
Yes.
and innovation will actually belong there.
Yeah.
Right.
I think everyone in India has
So
grown
it's
up.
think global, act local.
Yeah.
And the beauty about our country is it's so diverse. Every 100 kilometers, the food habits change, right?
Yes.
So we believe in what we call the many India strategy. So even if you have a product, that product needs to be
Indianified.
appealing
Yeah.
to different
Subgroups.
and different geographies, right?
Yes. Yes.
The masala is not the same. The jhalmudi in the east is
different.
not the same as the pav bhaji in the north in terms of
Yes.
so
Yes. Yes.
so that's the beauty of food. But and if you think of it, it's such a amazing innovation challenge and opportunity. And those who can crack that will really come out with winning products.
I think everyone in India has grown up eating kurkures, and I almost feel like eating one right now. But anyways, you've mentioned about, but before that, the lesson that I'm getting from, I did not summarize this, but the lesson and the insight that I'm getting is that such a successful product, Kurkure, was born not out of success, continued success, not born out of innovation, but born out of a challenge. And that is the importance of challenge.
Oh yeah. Look, at the end of the day, for innovations, we have to start with the consumer. And even in this case, I think it was really starting with the consumer. But it was also there was such a massive opportunity to straddle the Indian way of snacking with the Western way of snacking, and you just had to find that sweet spot.
Yes.
So challenges are opportunities if viewed that way. It's like the lessons from failure.
Yeah.
That's when the magic happens. That's when necessity is the mother of invention. Somebody said that, right?
Yes.
So
आवश्यकता ही आविष्कार की जननी है.
that's where it is.
Yes.
Because there is no bigger stimulus than that, right?
And I think failing is like falling. You just have to get up.
100%. And the question is, it's not about the falling, but it's about two things. How do you feel? What's happening in your head? Victim opportunity. Second, what did you learn? So that when it happens again, you know what to do. You are a much more informed person, right? You learn from it and you get better at it. So these are the two things. And I think in our lives and careers, if we have that mindset of victim to opportunity, move quickly. Second is, so what in terms of the takeaway, and then build on that. I think that's 50% of what you need to succeed and go the distance. The other thing is we were talking about communication, etc., and talking. And when I started, I used to fear talking. I mean, I was like the shyest guy. I'm a introvert. People find that hard to believe. But given a choice, I would rather stay at home, watch a movie or read a book rather than going out, out to a party.
Yes.
So how did I become so confident in terms of coming and talking? And it didn't happen overnight. And I still have butterflies in my stomach.
Yes.
When I come for an event, even today.
Obviously.
So the moral of the story is you have to practice.
Yes.
You have to give yourself that opportunity. You have to get out of your comfort zone. Not doing and not giving yourself that opportunity of doing it is the worst thing. So it's not the failure so much.
Yes.
Give yourself the opportunity, fail, learn from it. You will get better. Nothing can replace practice. Nothing can replace.
You've given so much, and even in your book, you've given so much emphasis on creative thinking, strategic thinking. And today, if you look at the social media, every influencer, every podcaster, every guest, they're saying just execute. But you were saying step back. Why do you say so? What's the importance? And don't you think execution is key?
I think execution is, and I call it the balcony and the dance floor, right? I mean,
the balcony and the dance floor.
Balcony and the dance floor. So the dance floor is where the execution is happening. That's the hurly-burly of activity, right? So
are we inside a pub wherein there's the balcony and then there's the dance floor?
Could be.
Okay.
Could be. Or imagine the biggest perspective is imagine all those guys who go to space. Okay. Can you imagine the perspective they have when they can look at the Earth from the
galaxy
viewpoint? That is the biggest balcony of all, right?
Yeah.
That is amazing, right? Amazing. All of us would kind of really want to get that perspective. What does this entire planet look like? We don't have that. We have never seen that. We could see it in a movie, right?
Yes.
But not like that. We would love to have that.
Yeah,
so
obviously,
I think balcony is gravity. Sorry. The dance floor is gravity. But the balcony is clarity. Okay, we spend too much time on the balcony because there is an overarching need for us to execute all the time. But how much time are we really giving ourselves to think? I personally carve out time in my calendar and I call it thinking time. Okay. My son jokes with me. He says, okay, this is the time when you take a snooze. But we are running from one meeting to the other meeting. We are resolving one problem, moving to the other problem. How can we plan for growth and success in the longer term if we are always focused on the near term?
I'll give you a story.
Think of
I'll give you a story to answer.
yeah. Sure.
There was a time with PepsiCo where in the food and beverage, the food business was witnessing a dip. And that's when I think you were the CFO with PepsiCo. You've been with PepsiCo since 2002 or 5?
Been 24 years.
Yeah. So, but what I've also read was PepsiCo, and I think the CFO, as the CFO, you realized just right in time that there was this dip and you've solved it. So was this strategy executed there wherein you've got the balcony view, and then is there a story around it that you can relate to?
Yeah, sure. No, look, I'll give you let me, I mean, our job as leaders, and it's not only me, it's the senior leader,
Yes.
is to set context. It's like if you remember the tribal chiefs of the past, those tribal leaders, they were also leaders. Yeah. No technology, no sophisticated stuff, right? But
Yes.
what did they do as leaders? They greeted with intent. They lit the fire every day, literally lit the fire, and they forgave with ease. Today's leadership is also about that. And what we are now discussing is the one in the middle, which is setting the context.
Yes.
आपको चेन्नई जाना है दिल्ली से. You cannot board a flight heading to Jammu. So you need to first get your direction right. And the direction keeps changing depending on the situation.
Yeah.
So lo and behold, you might have a situation where inflation is very high. And therefore you have to tweak your price mix, right? To make sure that while you're giving consumers value, but also you're protecting your margin, right? Or you're in a situation where you have a competition which is coming, and therefore you need to invest more in supporting your growth, right? And therefore you need to fuel that investment to driving higher productivity. Right, the CFO role, you sometimes feel like a split personality, moving from one game to the other game, and the other interesting aspect is you also are not on the field. You are kind of, you are a coach, you are a mentor.
Yes.
You are kind of directing the game from outside the field, right? Which is also back to the balcony view, right?
Yeah.
So you have to stop the penchant of really going and doing it yourself, because then you undermine the confidence of the team, and somebody needs to do that. Honestly, I feel like I don't know whether you've done rafting,
I've done it, yeah.
and then we have this we have our conferences. A lot of these team building exercises happen in Rishikesh, where you have these nice rapids, and then
Yeah.
and life as a CFO is almost like rafting in the river.
Yeah.
And I remember the classic three blind mice, I think, 3 consecutive rapids which come. So the life is like crazy chaos,
Yeah.
paused, interspersed with moments of tranquil calm. Both are important
Yes.
in driving success. And what you do in that chaos, and what you do preparing for the next one that is coming, is what the CFO's life is all about, right? So, and it goes back to context, and context keeps changing.
Yeah.
And therefore, coming back to adaptability, today we live in a VUCA world, right? We've spoken about it enough.
Yes.
And therefore, it's like sitting in the cockpit of the plane and understanding what is happening outside you.
Yeah.
We are a lot of times internally focused. We need to shift our mindset to what's happening outside.
The context.
And sometimes it's about getting out of your comfort zone. You are obviously comfortable about what's happening in your company and things like that. But whenever I go out and meet people, I feel, wow, I get dazzled by the knowledge. I get dazzled by the progress that others have made. And there's so much of learning that you can go back and replicate, right? There's so
True.
much to learn. So it's really about changing contexts and how do you adapt to those contexts, and CFOs play a role. And same thing back to the business, we have had phases of different business challenges or opportunities. Think about, the government just came out with the GST change, right?
Yeah.
That's a massive change.
Massive.
Right? And then everybody, had to adapt to it very, very quickly. We're still kind of going through the nuances of that. But adaptability is the name of the game.
Yeah.
Agility and having an agile mental frame, learning as you go, performing as you go. The other thing is, today it's more about not only today's performance, but it's also about transforming.
Yes.
You today and organizations today, products that organizations sell today and are driving growth today will not be the ones that will justify success in the future. So how do you create that? You need to again get back, create time for yourself to think about what's going to drive success.
So back
for you
to
in
creative
the future.
thinking.
Back to creative thinking, back to the long term, back
Yes.
to get away from the hurly-burly of the here and now and create disciplined, planned time for the future. And the future may not be tangible. So it's not as if you can see like the near term is very clear. You take an action, you see a result, right? You invest, you get growth. The future is a little blurry. But think of companies like Apple, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they thrive on anticipating consumer demand. What's going to happen? I don't know whether you saw the movie Blackberry.
I did. Yeah.
And Amir, you remember that scene when they were what's happening in the BlackBerry office and when they were when Steve Jobs was launching the iPhone, and these guys were like, wow, what is this? Right?
Absolutely.
So thinking
clueless.
miles ahead
Yeah.
in terms of what the consumer wants,
Yes.
that's going to drive competitive advantage. And CFOs need to do a lot of that. We are too ground to gravity. And to get clarity, we need to step onto the balcony.
Yeah. Now, there are two decisions here, whether you have the dance floor view and whether you have the balcony view. That's one decision. You also, when you were answering me, you also mentioned about that CFOs have a split personality. Now, I've always believed, having, talked to so many CFOs, is that these guys always function in a crisis of duality, wherein on one hand they want to be the stewards of growth, Nazire Farda as we call it, and on the other hand they want to also sustain and maintain that balance of saving costs, right? PepsiCo, as I remember, was in the cusp of making that decision whether to make, sell and deliver in Bangladesh, and I think you were involved in it as well. So tell me, how did you fight this crisis of duality, wherein how did you decide that you would make, sell and deliver in Bangladesh, or what would you do?
So look, I mean, before coming to Bangladesh, I think the thing is, I love this duality.
Yeah.
And it is also it's also creating that balance, right? And sometimes it is about being the shark in the tank. Right? And there's this lovely story of the shark in the tank, which is the Japanese love their tuna.
Yeah.
And but there's so much of fishing happening near Japan that all the fish were gone, so the trawlers used to go deep into the ocean to fish.
Yeah.
And by the time those trawlers got back, the fish were all dead. And the Japanese like they have tuna fresh.
Yeah.
So guess what they did? Somebody came out with a bright idea, put some baby sharks into the tank. And those baby sharks kept the fish, all the fishes alive in the tank by the time they came back. So the CFOs have to be the shark in the tank in a positive way.
Yeah.
But it's like playing midfield, typically in football terms. Right? Sometimes you're going back and defending. Sometimes when the going is good, you're helping going and either scoring goals yourself or mostly supporting.
Since cricket is more famous, let's say all-rounders,
all-rounders, right? So it's a very interesting role.
Yeah.
The CFO job is not for the faint-hearted. You love it or you hate it.
So what were the parameters that led to you to make a decision? Walk me through your thinking model.
It's about an entry into a country is a strategic decision, and therefore it's a combination of risk profile of the market, the
Okay.
opportunity of the market,
Hmm.
and then what's the right business model for that market, right? It's a combination of these three things.
Risk,
So
opportunity, and business model.
risk, opportunity, and the right business model which fits that thing, right? So
Okay.
exciting opportunity, but there is a certain risk profile to markets like Bangladesh, even India, for example, right?
Yes.
Compared to more
Other-
stable
yeah.
Western markets, right? So we wanted to learn first the the game before really investing big time, right?
Okay.
And therefore we wanted to keep a model which was asset light, right? Low involvement, low investment, low cost, and test out things like trade kaise chalta hai, right? Consumer behavior, some assumptions that we have in our head, try it out and get it validated. And once we are over that learning phase, maybe that learning phase will take 3 years, right? Keep that investment profile low so that you don't sink in a big plant or a manufacturing facility and then have to then scratch your head and say, oh shucks, maybe I got something wrong, right?
Yeah.
So this is a very strategic decision, and therefore it has to be viewed from a strategic point of view. Then there are operating decisions which one takes, where probably you will not take such a long-term view, right? Where you would probably be a little bit more, I would say, take a risk, so to say. As the Japanese say, "Yatti me nahare," go do it. But this is not a go do it scenario. Just do it scenario, right?
Yes.
This is a scenario where you take a learning approach, learn and then fit.
And these are areas where I think AI will transform finance and help CFOs.
Yeah, I my view on AI is, firstly, I think nothing can replace the mind. Nothing can replace experience. Nothing can replace how you work with people. Nothing can replace, how you are able to execute things, how you are able to take decisions. AI will be able to support you. And I think also AI is it's a buzz right
Buzz,
now,
yeah.
complete buzz. Remember, we are not a software company. And most people, I mean, okay, other than the guys who are selling the software, right? And they are creating a lot of buzz on AI. Maybe they want to sell their software. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. I attend so many conferences, and then the buzz, and then okay, buy my product. But me as a customer, I'm running a make, sell, deliver company. I need to sell products, right? I'm not selling software. So again, for companies and CFOs, it's not about the shiny tool of the AI, but it's about how it can add value to your organization. And it's not automating everything. In India, labor arbitrage is very low, so automation returns are very poor. So you've got to be very choiceful in where you apply the technology. But in the finance domain, for example, we are in a world now where the plan is just a plan on a piece of paper. The plan goes out of the window as, let's say, actual start, as we say, the year starts. You make a plan for 1 year, and then come January, already something else has happened, right? In the external, we talked about VUCA and the external situation, right? Something changes. So it's now about scenario planning. What happens if this happens? What happens if that happens?
Yeah.
Reminds me of a song. I think it was Earth. I forget which song now, but yeah, it's about center cut forecasting, but linked to scenarios, not just one fixated view, right? So there, I think data, artificial intelligence, algorithms can help create those agile, nimble models where you can digest, millions of data and then different sources of data and triangulate them and give this view.
Yeah.
Scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3.
Yes.
This is the best outcome for scenario 1, best outcome for scenario 2, best outcome for scenario 3.
Yes.
This is plan A, this is plan B.
Yes.
But ultimate decision making, ultimate risk taking, that has to be done by humans. That's a leadership call.
Yes.
That's a call which humans have to take, right?
I before we switched on the camera, I was telling you we've created that world record, and I'll tell you what the backstory about it. We were seeing that a lot of these finance teams, they were investing in projects around AI, but it was not reaching completion, and the pilots weren't transforming to annual contracts. And when we went talking to the CFO, we said, listen, 20 years back, the tech companies came in and then they digitized what you were doing. And now the AI experts are coming to you and then they're saying that they will automate what you're doing. And that's why you're failing, because digitized and automated dysfunction is still dysfunction. So if you want to really transform with AI, you'll have to revamp things. And for that, automation is not enough. And what will happen if you automate things is that 10 years from now, you will get a call at 2 a.m. from an AI bot saying, hey, listen, you're aggressively investing in growth in Bangladesh. Don't do it. It's not going to work. And then the CFO will ask why, and then AI will say, I cannot tell you why, because it's gone too complex. The algorithms will become too complex that it wouldn't give you a reason that you can understand, the human mind can understand. And even if it gives to you the reason, you wouldn't be able to make a sense out of it. Now, it has given you the AI recommendation.
Yeah.
Now you have to decide.
Yeah.
And that is when I think, even with the complexity growing around AI, decision making as a human skill will become more and more important. And that is where I love neuroscience.
I tell you, this. I have this 6 Ds which I talk about in my book.
Yeah.
Decision making is one of them. You cannot delegate decision making to artificial intelligence.
True that.
And therefore, the thing about, and you touched upon it, which is, it's just not the technology. And I have great debates with my son, right? I mean, he's a software guy.
Wow.
And so we live in 2 different worlds, right? And he believes software is God, right? And that's what it is. It's great. But then he also uses ChatGPT to fix some of his codes when the code goes wrong and things like that. Okay, so, but it's what I call SSAEO: simplify, standardize, automate, eliminate, and outsource.
Wow.
All those other elements are supremely important. Just thinking about the technology and putting that technology, just because everybody is jumping on that bandwagon, is putting the cart before the horse completely. First, you got to fix your process, and it starts with simplification. Today, our processes are so complex, and how much time are we? I think, we are again, as a nation and as professionals, very good at adding. We are not good at subtracting. We keep doing more and more and more. How much time do we take? It's like the strategy question. How much time do I ponder on the imponderables of the future? Right?
True.
And therefore, how much time do I do something which I call a workout? Physically तो workout कर लेते हैं gym में, but काम का, process का, task का workout कब करते हैं? वो भी करना चाहिए.
Sure, yes.
We hardly do that. We have this classic thing in FMCG companies on SKU rationalization. SKUs are stock keeping units, right? The more growth comes, more SKUs. और एक डालो और एक बिकेगा, ठीक है ना? But imagine I'm selling on a let's say a rack, and that rack can have finite amount of facings. If something comes in, something has to go. It's like velocity, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm getting a little bit. I'm trying to find out, how my book is doing, and so I visit some of the stores, etc. And it's about velocity of the book. So it's not about me telling them, मैं author हूँ, please मेरा book को facing दे दो. It's not that. He's saying, guys, it needs to have velocity. Otherwise, it is taking up space, sales opportunity of somebody else. So we need to also subtract. That's so important. Simplification, elimination.
Yeah.
Simple stuff, but we don't do enough. Okay. Automation, yes, but these two are also equally important, and I would, urge CFOs and my colleagues to also focus on that. Because the finance guys are a lot of times turning off the lights at night. So why?
I'll connect it with your balcony strategy again. Is that when you get up to the balcony and you have that view, do not just think about what you need to do. Also think about what you do not need to do.
Yeah.
Great insight. Kaushik, it was great chatting with you. I think we're over time. We've got almost over an hour. But I think this has been one of the most revealing mindset-centric conversation that I've had, wherein we started with stepping back. We've not emphasize the importance of execution, but also emphasize the importance of stepping back. And then obviously the dance floor and balcony analogy was great. And then you've rightly mentioned and highlighted the importance of decision making, the importance of soft skills, storytelling, communication. I think these are areas that CFOs know that they need to do better, but then they are not doing better because they lack manuals and models. And that's where I think your book will give them an edge. Not just talking about finance for finance, but non-finance for finance. So thank you so much for writing this book. I'm not sure how did you even take out time while being doing what you're doing with PepsiCo and still writing a book. But as your closing note, I'd want you to let me know, how did you find time to write this book, and what's the trigger point?
No, that is a question I always get, and sometimes my HR folks are wondering, what the hell does this guy do? I mean, is he really working, or is he's doing all the other stuff? But I have a chapter in my book which I call employeeship. 95% of the people are doing what I call employeeship. And 5% maybe are doing leadership. And there's so much of buzz and talk about leadership that we don't focus on what the 95% need to do. And success of a company, an organization,
very nice,
are dependent as much on the 95% as it is on the 5%.
Yes.
And one of the most important tenets of a good employee is to bring his or her best self to work. Now, I am able to bring my best self to work because of the other stuff that I do. And I told you that I like music, and I'm deeply into that. The right brain is 2/3 of the brain, but unfortunately, I always loved words, but I got stuck with a career in numbers. But somewhere I realized that it need not be a or. Let's make it an and.
Yes, again.
And therefore, it's
wow,
fueling your passions. It's what the Japanese call ikigai, the reason to get out of bed.
Yes.
And it helps me. So for me, writing is not about time kaise milega. For writing for me is, instead of taking a pill which de-stresses, let's put some words on paper. Let's strum a song on a guitar. That's better than a pill.
Okay.
That helps me recharge. And the next day when I'm back in office, people see a very balanced person, right? That's how I'm able to also handle all the stress, because I'm using the right brain.
Yeah.
Most of my work life is left brain, right? Imagine all the shit that comes to a CFO, right?
You've mentioned about getting out of bed and ikigai. I'll give you a very rare view on it, and again, sourcing it from neuroscience. You see, we all have days wherein we do not feel like getting out of bed. I'll tell you exactly what happens, and the brain that works behind it. Anything that we do is the result of the communication between the prefrontal cortex, which is this part of the brain, and something that sits right in the center. It's called striatum, right? Now, striatum, let's call it as the habit brain. Now, there are two parts of striatum. Dorsal striatum is the upper part, and nucleus accumbens is the lower part. Now, let's cut the terminologies, but the upper part of striatum is responsible for just doing what you've done before, and the lower part of striatum lives on dopamine, and it does only what feels good today. So this is the thinking brain, and then there are two folks in the habit brain, the upper part and the lower part. Anything that we do is a conversation between the thinking brain, the upper part of the striatum, and the lower part of the striatum, right? Your thinking brain wants to do what's good for you in the long term. This is what makes you transformers. The upper part of striatum only wants to do what it has done before, and the lower part is only interested in what's immediately enjoyable. And because the thinking brain is the latest part that has been developed, when we were dinosaurs, and back then this was not there. We just have the brain stem that was helping us move our hands and so forth. So most of the times when that communication happens, the seniors win, right? And that is the power of habits, because every time dopamine wouldn't be around you. So most of the times the upper part of striatum wins, saying, okay, the most easy thing for me to do is what I've done before. And let's not blame it for good and bad things, because it's designed just to repeat what you've done before.
Yeah.
And that is why you see we are scrolling endlessly, even when we are having a headache. We are watching a Netflix series even when we don't want to watch it more often, right? And that is the power. There's a very famous saying that the first 30 years of our life we make our habits, and the last 30 years of our life the habits make our life, right? So, and in your book, I've seen all these right habits, right mantras, right models. That step back, have the balcony view. Do not just do what think about what you need to do, but think about what you don't need to do. Declutter and then execute depending on. You mentioned about the risks as a lessons for CFO. You mentioned about the opportunity, and then understand the right business models. So, in an A, it's like a great book for CFOs to read, and I'd recommend it to everybody else as well who want to succeed and have those habits in place.
No, thank you very much. And as I said, I mean, my book is really for people who are either starting off in their careers or who are in their middle management, and they're looking for a mentor. And a lot of times you don't have that.
Yeah.
I mean, this book is really meant to be not about theory and framework and leadership and all that stuff. You've got enough of that, right?
Yeah.
This is about hard lessons learned the hard way over 3 decades.
Yeah.
And it's like a capsule that you're getting, which is going to be like a mentor for you all through your professional life. So I wish, and thank you very much for your support. It's great to be here and talking to you, and it's quite refreshing, this podcast, for me as well. I've done quite a few, but this is a nice refreshing change. We are talking about different things. On that topic of mindless scrolling, I can tell you that, it's like back to the Gita. It's about how do you rein in your mind. The 5 horses are running helter skelter. How do you keep that in control?
Yeah.
That, I think, is missing today. And imagine when we were kids and life was much simpler. We had the simple pleasures of things like sitting and having a chat, time for each other, right? No digital distraction. And today we have moved to something which is like, as you rightly said, I have no reason to, but since I have a phone beside me, every 5 minutes I'm checking what the hell is happening.
Yes.
Nothing is happening, but I'm still doing that. I'm in an airport waiting for the bus or waiting for to board. Everybody's on their phone. And maybe in your families, in your living rooms, where people used to make a lot of loud noises and talk and chatter and banter, people are all sitting on their phones and typing into their phones.
Yeah.
Now that is something which we definitely need to change. And because no learning can happen, or the first stage of learning is a mind which is receptible to real learning. And what we are doing today is not real learning.
Yeah.
The mind itself is not, calm, is not ready to learn. It's like the first stage of yoga, right?
Yeah.
So
At the back of my mind, I'm smiling because every time I've had a lot of conversations, and every time I have a challenge in closing the conversation, that is a signal to me that we were just starting. Right? And it's just the lack of, this could go on and on. And I'll tell you, you picked up mindless scrolling and you've said something, so I'll counter.
Since you said that, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll counter to it. And hear me out. I'm looking at my phone and I have my fingers on it and I'm scrolling. And then at the back of my mind, I thought, what is the full form of Wi-Fi? Is it why fingers? Why fingers? Why am I scrolling? Right? So Wi-Fi is why the fingers are on the phone, right? There's more to it. But Kaushik, thank you so much. And after, whenever I have these challenges in closing that conversation, I realize that I need to stick around this person more than often. So I'd be around you. I'd be learning. I've read your book already. I'm not sure if you have another one that's coming up, but this was a great book. Thank you for writing it.
Thank you.
And you have to tell me more about other things that you've learned in the last 3 decades. So,
sure.
Kaushik, thank you for everything.
No, thank you very much. Pleasure to be on the podcast. Pleasure knowing you as a person, and I'm sure the podcast is not last of the relationship. It's all about people. Sure, yes. I strongly believe in that, and so I think we've got a good connect. And all the best, and look forward to staying in touch.
Yes.
And maybe listening to your shairi.
Yes.
And happy to do some music and jamming together.
We'll do it on December 11 in Delhi. Wonderful. At the Holiday Inn.
Wonderful.
You're on stage.
Great stuff, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes.